You don't have your mic on.
It's right there.
Thanks.
Don't try this at home, kids. We are professional.
Yeah, we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So we are at Geneva State Forest in beautiful Alabama at the Blackie Thomas gathering. Now we have access to some of the best minds in the industry. So we've got something new for you guys. I think you're gonna like it. Stay tuned, here we go.
All right, FTFers, we have come up with the, what are we calling this? The cup of controversy?
The cup of controversy.
So inside of the cup are a bunch of topics from the guys, and we're just gonna randomly pull something out of the cup and see what we're discussing here.
Okay, put that back, and all right, here is the topic of the day. 5 firearms for Americans.
5 Firearms for Americans, that's a pretty good one.
Okay.
We could go a lot of different ways with that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not for the SHTF.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for home defense. It's just 5 firearms.
5 firearms. If someone had nothing and you were going to recommend 5 guns to get started to have their own personal and cover the biggest base, obviously off that you got to take into consideration how much experience they got. So a super top-end tactical precision rifle might not be a good fit because they don't have the skills for that. I would recommend as a starter, let's say for something that's going to be the most productive to get game, that's going to be a shotgun.
Okay, so you're going shotgun for your first pick?
Pump shotgun, yes.
Okay. What gauge?
12.
All right, so you're going 12 gauge for your first firearm.
Yes.
Okay, I think I'm gonna start on the lower small game. I think I'm gonna go, I think the obvious choice is 22 LR, and I'm thinking Ruger 1022.
Be an outstanding choice, yes.
For my first firearm, I think that's what I'm gonna go with.
You have plenty of magazine availability, plenty of accessories for sights or etc. Stocks, so you can make it what you want.
Second party accessories for this. Support for that firearm is all over the place.
Oh yeah, same thing for the 12 gauge. There's everything for a pump 12 gauge.
Yeah, so, okay, so you're not listing a specific firearm either. You're just saying the action, a shotgun.
A pump shotgun. Of the 3 that I would think of, the Remington 870, the Savage, or the Mossberg 500.
500?
I'd go with the Mossberg 500, and it's for only one simple thing. When you open up the ejector port and look in, you're going to see this great big screw. That's the ejector. When you open up a Remington, you don't, because it has to be sent to a gunsmith, and they have to use a proprietary rig and a 25-ton press to press an ejector, extract the ejector into it.
Okay.
The Mossberg, you can change it out with a screwdriver. So it gives it an advantage when we're talking about long term. If something's going to break, that's where the shell comes back and hits it, and that's what kicks it out.
Okay, all right.
So that's my point on that one.
All right, so we got our first firearms out of the way. What's going to be your second choice?
Second choice, well, you've already picked a 22 long rifle.
You can pick that.
I know, well.
Whatever. It'd be interesting to see go with exactly what Blackie Thomas would do. What
Blackie Thomas would pick would be a single action 22 long rifle, because it can work with half its parts broke. It uses the same ammunition as the rifle. Perfect for up close short stuff where I need something, to quiet up close and take rabbits or squirrels or something where I don't need the long gun, or an enclosed space where I'm doing something I don't have a lot of turning room. And it's the versatility. You can just get all kinds of shells.
Okay. I think for my second firearm, I think every American should be able to defend themselves, whether they're in public or they're at home. Mm-hmm. And I know what I would pick, but this is for Americans in general. So that means man or a woman, young or old, they need to be able to handle it. I'm gonna go 9mm Luger.
Caliber, yeah.
I think I'm gonna go, I think the obvious choice is probably the Glock 19, but that's not my first choice. I actually have a CZ P10C, but there's lots of other good ones out there, SIGs and Smith & Wessons, and I think I would go striker fire for me. Yeah, just the ability to defend yourself at home or abroad and to be able to conceal it and not have to worry about punching through what's behind your target at home, going through the walls, all that kind of stuff with the correct ammo choice. So yeah, that's what my second one's gonna be.
I'd agree with you. The Glock would be a very good choice because the Glock is set up where you put your finger on the trigger, you pull, it fires. Finger off the trigger, it's safe. It is neither cocked or ready to go. It can take drop tests. It works very robust, reliably. Several armies of the world use it. A lot of special teams use Glocks. So it's a really good choice. Plus, magazines are readily available in different capacities everywhere. You don't have a lot of accessories because it don't need it.
I mean, there is a lot of second-party accessories available, though. Like as far as holsters.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you got Tier 1, you got Tier X arms.
Right.
And even stuff that we saw yesterday at Walmart. You could buy a Safariland holster now at Walmart.
Yeah.
Which
It would
is
be a
crazy
really
to
good
me.
choice. Well, we've covered shotguns is going to take care of flying things, heavy things, big things, relatively short range. You've carried 22, that'll go out to 100 yards depending on what we're shooting, coyotes or on down to small game. We brought up a handgun that's going to be for personal defense, the 9mm, and I've set a 22. What's left?
Well, let's see. Have you got your 3, or are you going with handgun with me as well?
I'm going to agree on the second one is the handgun, yes.
Okay, because I think we're up to 3 now. Because let's see. No, I
That's-
did
you
22
did 2
LR,
and I did
and
2.
I did 9. All right, so we're up to our third choice.
Third choice.
Okay, I think I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go intermediate cartridge for medium to larger game. I mean, I think I'm gonna have to go America's Rifle. I'm gonna have to go AR-15.
Okay.
It's not my first pick myself, but it's readily available. It is a NATO cartridge. That's kind of like their introduction into a battle rifle. You know, life and liberty, being able to defend yourself and at range as well. There's a lot of second party support for it. I think if I had to pick one, I guess I should do one for every budget. Like low end, I'm gonna say PSA. In the middle, I'm gonna say BCM. And at the top, I would never buy a Knight's Armament or a Daniel Defense, or I might get a US Arms.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay with that. That's gonna be my answer, an AR-15.
AR. All right, I'm gonna do something a little controversial with that.
I like controversy.
My third choice would be a lever action in 357.
357, that's a good choice. Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you why. Because most 38 Special and 357 ammo is set up for a 4 or 6-inch revolver, and they're gonna lose a little pressure at the cylinder gap. When you lock that into a rifle with a locked action, you add 300 to 500 feet of velocity. So a standard like a Rossi 92, very handy, same weight as the AR, and I would argue even more handy than the AR. But if I put a standard 38 Special in the back, what comes out the barrel is 357 ballistics.
Right.
When I put a 357 in the back, what comes out the barrel is a 35 Remington. That's like a fat bullet 30-30. I can take deer, I can take small game, I can take anything on the North American continent by how I loan that little bitty carbine. And so it's light, it's handy, it's quick, it's fast, it's a simple loading gate, no magazines to worry about losing or etc. And I can dial in my load for what I'm hunting. Hand loading becomes super simple for that. Whereas, I'm not trying to discredit, but the 5.56 is a fantastic gun, but you gotta know your stuff to get real good accuracy out of it because it requires precise reloading. The 357 and the 38 is a lot more forgiving. So I can shoot 357, I can shoot 38 Special, and depending on the chamber and the extractor, you can even get 38 Super to go in that sucker and go bang. So hey, that's
Something
my third
to think
choice.
about for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so that was your third. Now we gotta go fourth. I think I'm gonna have to go with a shotgun, but I'm gonna do something different because I am a semi-auto shotgun guy. And if I had to go pick one, I know the obvious answer is probably a pump, right? But I'm more of a semi-auto guy, so I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say A300 Beretta, maybe a 1301 or an M4 Benelli. Those are my choices for semi-auto shotguns.
Right.
Just so versatile. You can
Very
do
rugged, very
everything.
reliable. Yes.
that you need to do with it. I mean, literally everything. At maybe not a distance, but 100 yards. And I've seen guys shoot slugs out to 400 before and actually
Yes.
hit the target.
That's one of the things on my first choice is you can get a rifled barrel and drop into it and put a scope on it, and using smooth slugs that will engage the rifle, and it turns it into a 75 caliber rifle, and you can lob it out to 200 yards.
Right.
But now we're hunting big game at that point. You are not shooting something small,
No.
and that's one of the things.
Okay,
There,
so
shooting a video.
what's your next choice?
Oh boy. Let's see. I've done shotgun. I've done handgun. I've done the lever action. Fourth choice. And this is for not necessarily world go to hell, but it's just to have in the arsenal, right?
Okay, all right, yeah.
410 single shot shotgun.
Another shotgun.
Why? There are 35 calibers that will drop into a 410 and fire. You can shoot 44 Magnum, 44 Special, 45 Colt. Not necessarily recommended. I'm not saying that I would say I'd want to do it except in survival, but there's 35 calibers that I can scrounge. You can put a 30-30 in it, and it will go bang, and you can shoot at it 25 yards on game.
Well, I mean, that's pretty smart if you were talking end of the world.
End of the world, that would be my choice.
So that leaves me with the last choice.
Come on now, we've
Okay.
covered handguns, we've covered that. What are you gonna go with? Are you gonna go with range? You gonna go with precision? What you gonna go with here now?
I think I'm gonna have to go with a DMR, a designated marksman's rifle.
Mm-hmm.
My mind wants to say Remington 700, and it's not my. This is for Americans. It's not for me.
Right.
I think everybody should have a bolt gun.
Mm-hmm.
Myself.
But what caliber?
I think see, that's where I'm getting messed up in my mind, right? Because I grew up on 30-30 and 30-06. That's what I grew up on. And so I love the 30-06 because you could reach out and poke somebody with that. But I don't think that's America's caliber. I mean, as far as big boy rifles go, probably 308 is what is going to be the most plentiful that's out there.
You have the reloading components are readily available. You have the maximum amount of choices of ammunition for whatever thing, from precision to varmint hunting, to big blunt ends for punching into something at close range. Yeah,
a lot of choices. If I had to choose a platform, there's so many.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could go M14, you could go FAL, you could go G3,
yeah,
you could go Scar 17.
Yeah, you like your semis because you like repeatable shots in a hurry.
Sig Spear, the new DMR by Steyr. You know what? I'm going to have to go big block, 4-speed, 411 gears, the 1970 Chevelle of the 308 world. I'm going M14.
M14.
I'm just doing it because it is a shooter's gun.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, they're still both in the military being used today.
Exactly, and you've got a very robust, accurate set of iron sights, and then you scope mount it, and you've got reach out and touch them range. And at the same time, if the scope fails, you still got an excellent set of sights.
An excellent gun.
You still got an excellent gun,
which you could use as a general purpose rifle, even if you didn't have it set up as a DMR. But I think in my 5, the GPR is going to be the AR.
Okay.
And then I think, and then I'm going to have a DMR. Yeah, that's what I'm sticking to, and maybe I should drink a little bit more and think about it. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know, but that's what these talks are all about. The thing is, when y'all get in the comment section, that's when we're going to find out what the people are actually thinking about.
You know, it's where you're at is what is really the gun. I'm down here in the woods.
Right.
And so most time my shots on big game is going to be at 100 yards or less. But you get the guys out in the plains and everything, they got 200 and 300 yards they got to play with. And you need it sometimes, especially if you're trying to take something really big.
Well, that's where 6.5 Creedmoor.
That's when you got to reach out. That's when a belt fit ain't a bad idea.
Would be nice.
You know, walk it onto it. But the thing about it is it's got to be where they're at.
And this is all of America too, so it's kind of hard to
It
cover
is.
all contingencies with what we're talking about
Exactly, and the skill sets. That's one of the reasons I'm a dear love of the 1911 45 ACP, but it takes a little bit of training to shoot it accurately. And in my experience in teaching people, the 9mm is a little easier to learn for the average person to shoot well and accurately than the 45 is. So that's the reason I didn't go with that.
I'm thinking everything 2 legs or 4 legs, I can take care of with the 5 that I.
Yes.
You could do the same thing with your 5.
Mm-hmm.
I think it really is just a matter of preference, and then whatever you think ammo is going to be available in your area. Because a lot of guys shoot different calibers in different parts of the country. So whatever's available here, a lot of the 30 caliber stuff here, maybe 270s, 243s here, maybe. But I think mostly 30-30, maybe 270, 30-30, 30-06, maybe even some 7 mags here and there.
Well, I grew up loving 20 gauge, and I still do love 20 gauge, and it's my preferred caliber for me. But I recognize that 20 gauge isn't as available all over the country, and 12 gauge is a better choice, and that a 12 gauge will do anything the 20 will do.
Plus, you can get lower loads on it too. You don't have to have high brass on everything.
And a 3-inch load 12 gauge will do just about anything you need. Plus a load of a turkey load of a number 5 in a house is unbelievably good for a defense
Yeah,
load.
no, for real.
You know, just liquefy them when you pull the trigger. And it don't go through walls well, but it will take care of the problem right now. So that's the reason I recommend that a pump shotgun is the best home defense weapon, because it intimidates by sound. I mean, I know you love your automatics, but when you go click, everybody's gonna go, what was that? When I go chunk, chunk, nobody asks.
Well, I mean, my choices, and I mean, the audience is already gonna know because they know my choices.
Yeah.
I mean, my AKs have that signature sound. You know?
Yeah, clunk,
There's
clunk.
nothing like a Vepr 12 being racked.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I would never recommend someone to go get a Vepr 12, especially with the Russian ban and everything. It's expensive now, but I had one pre-ban.
Oh yeah.
You know, so I wouldn't recommend that to somebody else. But I mean, that's what they're going to hear at my house.
Oh yeah. Well, the AK is the reliability. It's just unbelievably reliable. Accuracy, once you get past 150 yards, is getting it'll hit a man. Now, don't get me wrong, but the AR really shines beyond 150. But when we're talking about reliability, AK is it. If you got to have range, you got to go with the AR platform then.
Yeah, I mean, my GPR is an AK. It's a 1063 GP. And my DMR is a Zastava M90. But a lot of people don't like 7.62 by 54R, but I do.
I do.
I like it a lot. So, and I carry a 10 mil for my pistol. And growing up, we didn't even really shoot 22s that much. It was all pellet guns because Pop didn't want us, you know, or didn't want to have to worry about wherever that bullet landed.
Yes.
With us missing squirrels or rabbits or whatever was beyond our target.
Well, small game was a 22 rifle, and that handled anything up to dog size, you know, as far as a coyote or whatever. And that was our small game hunting thing. Shotguns was bird and deer and anything else, those two. So arsenal of a 22 handgun or a 38, a 22 rifle, and a 12 gauge. Covered everything
Back in the day.
Yeah,
including snakes, like
including
with snake
snakes,
yeah.
You know, and I don't know how many times you'd be coming down a riverbank and look over and somebody be sitting on the bank fishing, there'd be a propped up shotgun, you know, for snake, whop, it's over. And, but it was what
we were
the
talking
choice
about
was.
carrying 12 gauges for snakes with a lower load in
Yeah.
it, you know, what, 4?
Yep, number 8.
Number 8.
Yeah, number 8s do a great job, and that's one of the reasons I like 20 gauge. I could carry more shells per pound than the 12.
And there's the capacity argument right there.
Number 7 turkey loads make a real good round for home defense.
Yes.
At 10 feet.
Oh yeah, it's hamburger. According to the FBI, who keep records of all the shootings, of all handgun shootings in the U.S., and this was as of 2000, only 25% are fatal. Of rifle shootings, 43%, 45% are fatal. And of shotgun shootings, 80% were fatal. Because if I hit you a bird shot at 25 feet and it all penetrates, everything's full of holes.
Yep.
You know.
Well, that is a bullet's job.
Yeah, it's just a lot of little bullets doing a lot of jobs.
Cordless hole punch.
So, I mean, for home defense, hunting, whatever, and it's just what you had experience with. We came up with that, which now I saw a lot of the old men in my time, they were toting them Victory models, those Model 10 Smiths 38s.
Yeah.
They could head shoot rabbits with them. They knew their guns, you know. And when I got my first lever action in 357, I was shocked at the accuracy and the power of this thing. And I hadn't considered that it would go with a hot hand load up to 800 feet per second faster. Well, what's the size of a 30 caliber bullet? What's the size of this, 35 caliber? What's the weight? 158 grain and 150 grain. What's the speed? The same speed. I'm a fat 30-30 coming out of that rifle 357. It's just a nice short little cartridge that goes in the handgun too.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. You know, I would definitely go with the 12 gauge pump, you know.
See those reactions?
Bolt action,
Yep.
22 long rifle, some kind of 22 rifle.
Yes.
And then I want a revolver and a long gun in the same caliber.
Yeah. For interchangeability, exactly.
Yeah, a revolver and a long gun in the same caliber, whether it's 357 or 410, or 45
22,
long
yeah.
Colt, something like that. I want a revolver, and then the Glock 10 millimeter.
Well, to me, the
I wouldn't mind
Glock.
having an MP5 and 10.
Oh yeah.
You know, some kind of, if you like automatics, if you don't want to go with a revolver and a lever gun, and you know, like we were talking about the PCCs and stuff, if you want to go with a semi-auto and 9mm, you know, then you've got the pistol caliber carbines that you can do that with. But I think having one that's interchangeable like that is an important.
Well, whenever people have come to me and wanted to learn to shoot, one of the things that I've recommended, they wanted a handgun. If they're well coordinated and everything, I'd recommend a Glock. Even though I personally don't own a Glock, but I think it's a well-made design. And like I said, put your finger on the trigger, you're ready to go. Take your finger off the trigger, it's safe. You don't have to worry about it. And that way, it's kind of like a revolver. No pulley trigger, no go bang. You know, it's got to cock itself in the striking, so you can use it for a hammer to that point. And if you need capacity, yes. On the other hand, if there's somebody that just can't get it through their head, had a rack and everything, a 38 revolver is the way to go.
Well, I mean, that's what I grew up on. I mean, that's what Pop started me off with. And that was a long time ago. And I mean, what do you think about the shift in gun culture in general? Because, you know, now we have all these like go fast, tactical, I mean, people are running, I mean, even night vision and thermal on their weapons. And I can't afford that kind of stuff, even having come out of that world.
I see people running $2,000 scopes and night vision scopes and everything else. And if you have a use for that, yes, go ahead. But to me, it's kind of like, and I don't mean this to be cruel, but do you have the skills to make this worth this investment?
It could get you killed too.
It
like
can get you
these
killed.
Tech lasers.
Yeah, and like we're talking about in a tactical thing, the guy that gets out and he's got the gun with all the big, who's the guy you gonna take first?
Him.
Him. He's got the pretty gun. Get him.
That's why you need some kind of concealable semi-auto handgun that you can carry if you do have to go into town. But, you know, everybody thinks about, they want to be the sniper. Nobody thinks about the counter sniper.
Yes.
Right.
Well, I had a
that laser.
Yeah, the whole gray man thing we talked about
Yes.
going into, all that, I agree.
Well, I had a guy come up to the counter at the place I worked, and we were talking about guns, and he had a heavy barrel AR platform with ACOG and everything on it, and he had a SIG handgun, and he had a tactical vest, and he had all this stuff. And he was ready to go, and I said, you are ready for a firefight, but there's something you need to consider. He said, what? I said, every redneck with a 270 is a sniper out to 300 yards, and you got a real pretty rifle, boy.
Especially in these air woods.
I wouldn't be walking around in daylight with all that.
Yeah.
They'll just gut shoot you and wait and come and get, so.
You know, the thing is, though, what do we know?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we don't know what we're talking about, but y'all do, obviously. So get in the comments section if you're honey smack digging the idea of the cup of
controversy.
The cup of controversy. If y'all like the cup of controversy idea, let us know in the comments section so we can make it happen again. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and until next time, y'all, keep fueling those fires.
Awesome.